I'm hearing no public comments. Has everybody read the February 23rd committee minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Is that you,
Second.
Mark?
Yep.
Thank you, Mark. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Executive Director Villa, you're on.
Madam Chair, I don't have any comments for the audit committee other than, well, I think we've actually met since the legislative audit committee, so no updates. I love this time of year.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the audit committee checklist. That Julie? Julie,
Yeah. So members of the committee for the audit checklist, a couple things that I'll highlight. We did meet with the Legislative Audit Committee on March 9th. Dan Villa was over there with the Legislative Audit Committee. It was a pretty uneventful Legislative Audit Committee. Our Whippley SOC audit. Whippley has conducted their entrance conference with us. They're scheduled to do the walkthroughs on May 17th during that week, and during the week of July 26th, they will be doing their testing. This will be done virtual again.
What week is that again, Julie?
The testing will be the week of July 26th,
Okay, thank you.
and the walkthroughs the week of May 17th.
Got that one.
Okay, thanks.
They will have the report ready for us in October. The draft will be presented to our audit committee here. And then the final report will be in November meeting. As
So when will we get the report then? Before the November meeting? Is that it?
yeah, we will have the draft report from Whippley for our October board meeting.
Okay, great.
And then the final report will be for the November.
All right.
In regards to the Board of Investments SOC review, we do receive numerous SOC reports from third parties that provide us crucial information services to our board. And these services may impact our financial statements. This includes several reports from our custodial bank, as well as our trustee bank that we review. And I am pleased to report that no deficiencies were noted within those reports that we have reviewed. And yes, Maggie.
All right, let's go to the continuation of operations update. That's our COOP plan, right?
Yes. So what we've done is we have done a review of our entire COOP plan, or continuations of operations plan. We updated all of the procedures and attachments that are part of this plan. We did not include all of those attachments within your board packet. And we made a few minor changes, such as updating personnel. But if you go to page 10 of the red line version of our COOP plan, this is where the majority of the changes are. So this is our backup operations section. Currently, all BOI staff have a state-owned device that's been issued to them. This is something that has changed since we updated it last year. We also are using a virtual private network, or VPN, to connect with the state's network. This is a secure encrypted connection. And because all BOI employees now have a state issued laptop and we're able to access the network, we're able to do our work at any location. We don't feel that the backup location that we had at the Department of Revenue building is a benefit to us anymore. So we are in the process of eliminating that backup site. And then we have updated other parts of that section accordingly.
Okay, one more time. You're eliminating the backup site because everybody has a laptop.
Yeah, everyone has a laptop and everyone can access the state's network from their home, or you can take your laptop on the road.
Okay, so everything is on the state's network then, and so you're relying on the state's network backup system.
Yeah, we do have the state's network. We have the data center. But we always had to rely on the internet connection anyway. And even with our backup site, we were getting into the state network, Mark.
Okay.
The backup site is a small little room. I don't know if it's 6 by 6 or 8 by 8. It's a little tiny room in the basement of the building that the Department of Revenue has in downtown Helena. There was one terminal in that site, so only one employee could be on it at a time. Having all state employees or all BOI employees having access with the computer, we actually can do more business than we could have with our backup site.
Julie, do you have any more to present on that, or Mark, do you have any
No.
more questions?
I have a couple of questions. So it says that each computer that employee has the COOP plan on it, correct?
We will be reminding all the employees once this COOP plan has been updated to make sure that they get the updated copy on there so that
Okay.
it is saved on their C drive.
And do you have in here someplace how frequently you're reviewing the plan for updates?
We do review it once a year,
Is that
at least.
is that identified in the plan?
No, well, Mark, that's part of the board's work plan. So every year we're required to present to you an updated COOP plan as part of the board's work plan. So we back into that.
Okay. Okay. Another question is, when you created this plan, what were your assumptions? What kind of events are you trying to cover with this plan? Is the assumption you
This
can't
plan, oh, I'm sorry.
Is it that you can't enter the building because there's some event that occurred in the building and everything else is operational across the state and across whoever services you're getting services from, like State Street, or is it more comprehensive than that?
So this plan is meant to keep us it was originally built to keep us operational for 3 to 5 business days in the event that something went wrong at headquarters.
Right.
Last year, it was amended to adapt to COVID so that we could telework indefinitely. We're still going to be reliant on the systems that we work with. So we're still going to be reliant on US Bank. We're still going to be reliant on State Street. And we don't have an option but to be reliant on the state's data system and emergency systems, both at the data center and the backup data center in Miles City. So we are reliant upon them. Now, we also have internet connectivity issues. So many times, if you've got Charter or one of the Spectrum, one of the other private providers, that may go down. So we've had instances where folks have had to use their personal phones, Wi-Fi, in order to get into the network. So we've done a lot of work to this over the last year and a half, mostly out of necessity. The first look we did was 3 to 5 business days. The second look, because of COVID, was indefinite telework. And the backup data set, or the backup site, we did use during the COVID outing. We had one employee who could not get internet access at her home. So she did use the backup center. Our problem with the backup center is it is not conducive to long-term work. There are no windows. It is in the basement. It is truly meant to be a short-term system. So we built out from there. So now that employee will have access to this building and all other employees will be able to work from home.
So back to Mark's question about whether this is done annually. Julie, is that something we could put in the audit checklist thing, just indicating that because I was just looking at it and I don't see where it says it will be done annually, even though we reference that we're updating it.
So it's not in the, we can add it to the audit checklist, but it is on the work plan the board adopts every biennium. So every, I believe, March, I'm required to bring you continued operations plan. This year, the meeting's a little later. But we can add it to the audit checklist if you prefer to add it there as well.
It just, yeah, it was a good question and it just made me think maybe it's a good idea to have it someplace as a reminder. I know it's on our work plan.
And to be quite frank, I think we're going, the conversation I'll have with the board separately in a little bit. I think we'll address some of this relative to the entirety of the governance manual, so.
So are there any other questions?
One other observation, Madam Chair. I noticed that in the internal control documents, it does say that the board will periodically scenario test aspects of the plan. That's the business continuity plan. But I didn't see anything within the plan itself. I'm wondering if that should be identified in the plan itself.
So we don't identify that within the plan as we work with the Department of Administration and the Budget Office on various scenarios, rather than build in, here's what you will test. What happens is I work with the division administrator at the State Financial Services Division, as well as the Deputy Budget Director for Finance. And last year we tabletopped, well, not last year, the year before, we tabletopped an exercise. Last year we had COVID, which really tested us. And then we also tabletopped a power outage that wiped out Helena for a day. So we don't build in specific examples, but we work collaboratively with our three partners scenario test each year.
Any other questions or comments? I will be looking, I would look for a motion, but I do want everybody on this board to know that this document has been reviewed closely by Margaret Jean Peterson. And there are many corrections to be made. And I would like the motion to be made that with the understanding that those corrections will be made.
Grammatical and typographic.
No substance, just grammatical. Well, there is a couple of errors that have a little substance, but mostly typographical. 9 or 10. 10 is different than 9.
Who's this Margaret Jean?
That would be myself, thank you. That would be my alter ego. But so does anybody want to make a motion to approve this?
Just, sorry, Maggie, I've got a question. I had myself on mute, didn't realize it, so sorry, but could you walk me through again? Because I heard you say that something about when something goes down, people may have to use their personal I don't know, laptops or phones to access the system. Did I understand that correctly? And if I did, does that still then require that or involve the encryption system? Or are you outside of that then?
The only aspect that you'd use for mobile connectivity is your mobile hotspot on your phone. You're still going to have to go through all of the encryptions and RSA security measures that are built into our system. So you'll need your State Street token in order to access My State Street. You'll need your RSA in order to access the state network. The only component you'd be using is the actual internet access through your mobile hotspot.
Okay, does that in itself create any vulnerability?
No, because you're still going to be logging in through the state network and through the protections that are afforded to us under ITSD and under the security plans of our partners at State Street and US Bank.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay,
By the way, I'll make the motion, Maggie.
Mark might have a question. Looks like Mark had a question.
Oh, sorry.
I guess the question I have, Madam Chair, is are your changes substantive or are they just clerical, or is it something that we should wait until we see the corrected version?
They're mostly minor. There's a few names that came off the list when Dan and I had a conversation yesterday. There was the following 9 employees have Bloomberg B. Well, they're actually 10, so it should be changed to 10. Just some grammatical corrections. It's nothing that you're going to lose sleep over, Mark, if that's what you're looking for.
All right. Okay, so I'll second the motion, but Madam Chair, I would request that once the updates are made, if the staff could send them back out to us so we can take a look at the completed document.
Absolutely. That goes without saying, but thank you. So the motion was made by Bruce, seconded by Mark. Do we have any discussion, any further discussion, comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, next we have the internal control policy update. Julie, you're on again.
In regards to the internal control policy, we've made several changes, and I'll start with page 7 of the red line version. This is under the board information technology system section. In this section, we have been maintaining a management information system employee use form. This was an Excel file that we maintained with people security detailed. We are wanting to eliminate that form. We will continue to have a list of the systems that we use, and the permissions will be reviewed annually. However, this form we feel is no longer needed. The security for each system is more accurately reviewed within that system. That is also where our WIPLE auditors and legislative auditors will look for the security. And the security is being linked to each position with our recent updates to the descriptions. Then if we go to the board physical premises on page 8, we have some minor changes there. In section 8, employees, we've made changes to correlate with the new onboarding procedures. If we go to page 9, terminating employees under section 9, we are making changes to correlate with the new exit checklist procedures. Section 11, procurement cards. We are changing that so that the executive director will have the discretion to manage the number of P cards, which are issued to MBOI staff. He is granted that authority to operate the day-to-day operations in our governance manual. We feel this is just a continuation of that authority. And then we are also updating section 13, our backup operations, to correlate with the changes that we've made in our COOP plan to eliminate the backup site.
Maybe a little explanation for the board. As part of our air quote divorce from the commerce HR structures, we will now be doing our own onboarding and exit interviews. So a lot of these changes reflect that they will be done here as opposed to done at Department of Commerce. So as an example, Jeremy Ragar, our new analyst within the real estate and real assets shop left already. Yeah, 2 months. So we conducted that exit process, soup to nuts. Yeah, I thought it went fairly well. I thought it went very well. It was more streamlined, it was more efficient, it was more effective. We got the feedback, as an example, they would do the exit interviews and we would never know any of the feedback that those employees had. So a lot of these changes, particularly on pages 8 and 9, are just a reflection of us doing our HR work internal. The management innovation system, to be quite blunt, I think it was a busy work task. The individual permissions are tied to the systems, and we grant individual employees access to the systems based on business need. We then had this additional overlay that we were keeping track of as opposed to just within the systems themselves. So we're trying to eliminate a little bit of the busy work that the MIS system used to, or that the MIS system imposed on us. But as Julie said, we're not actually audited on the MIS other than if it exists, we can be audited on it. And if we updated the system but didn't update the busy work MIS, then we get a ding.
Any questions from any of the board? Again, I want to confess that I have made several grammatical corrections. There's one sentence in here that has no verb. It will by the time we're done. Mark, once it's corrected, we will resubmit it to board members. Just wanted to go on record with that. And Mark, it looks like you have
a couple of questions or observations on item 5 on page 7. Item E, the board staff will maintain then, and Julie mentioned it, that each system will be reviewed at least annually, but it doesn't identify who's reviewing that. I'm just wondering if that should be added. Again, on item 13, backup operations. I guess I don't need a comment there. That's okay. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other question?
I guess maybe to respond to Mark's question, Mark, the way I view it is if it is not specific within the manual as to whose responsibility it is, I view it as the board delegating that to me. So I'm responsible for doing it. I may delegate it beyond, but as far as a workflow proceeds, if it absent any specific individual staff member, I view it as my responsibility to get that done and report it to you. But I certainly won't be conducting all of these reviews personally, but it does fall onto my to-do list.
Got it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Board members? Do I have a motion to approve with the amendments?
So moved.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you, Dan. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there anything else that this committee needs to deal with today? Executive Director?
Nope.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
4 minutes to spare.
Oh, man. Good job, you guys.
So should we just move on?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I think we can just move on to loan committee. So if you turn your book to the loan committee tab. And I'll call the meeting of the loan committee to order. First thing I'll do is ask for public comment on issues within the committee's jurisdiction. So is there any public comment at all? Hearing none, we'll move on to the minutes from our last meeting, which was on February 23rd. Meeting minutes. So I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes as submitted.
Adoption.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
I'll second. Bruce.
Bruce, thank you. So moved and seconded. No corrections or additions. If not, all in favor say approval of the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is there anybody disapproves of those? Same comment. Motion is approved unanimously. The next thing is executive director comments.
So, Mr. Chairman, one item for the board's attention. Discuss Glacier Venture Fund and our involvement in that particular fund last board meeting. The settlement agreement that was drafted by the managing partners was adopted. 50.41% of the limited partners voted to approve. 49.59% of the limited partners voted to not approve. So under that, we have received our first check or first distribution for $462,464.61. We are still waiting on an additional $26,960 because they withheld state income tax from that distribution, not realizing that we're a state entity and don't pay state income tax. So our first distribution will be for $489,424.61. That is deposited into the coal tax trust. And then once we receive the additional 27,000, that will go in. There should be another distribution of roughly 330,000 once all of the expenses are paid and the fund is closed out. We will be sending all of the information we have on this to the Attorney General's office and the Department of Administration for their review. And then we will wipe our hands of it and never speak of this hell again. So that is one item off of our to-do list, Mr. Chair. Other than that, I think.
Just a question, when it goes to the Attorney General, could they cause any issues or, I mean, you're hopeful it's gone, but could it not be gone?
Well, we're not going to send them the money back. So that's a good thing. The only thing that could, well, a couple of things could happen. One, the Attorney General could find that due to the breach of fiduciary duty, we are owed additional funds. And he could pursue that in a separate claim. That would be independent of us. We may have to be witnesses or something of the like, but from a monetary fiduciary position, we're, at least in my opinion, fulfilling our fiduciary obligation to the beneficiaries by turning it over to our counsel for their review. Whether or not upon that review, the Attorney General determines that there's additional action taken is in his realm, and we'll leave it to him. Within the context of the Department of Administration, they will then have the opportunity to review whether or not these actions merit debarment from additional state contracts by the general partners. Again, that's not our responsibility to review. That falls on the Department of Administration. Getting it over there, I think checks our box on fiduciary duty, and we can move on to conducting our business.
So we don't make a recommendation.
We don't make a recommendation, no. We just provide the information and they take it and conduct their own investigation and take their own actions.
Any other questions on that topic? Well, it should be noted that, you know, that was never a loan that Board of Investments did or, you know.
Correct. We inherited that one.
Right, so there'll be no criticism of loan committee. Okay, with that being said, we do have one loan to look at today in our packet. It's for GBP Enterprises. Doug is with us today, so I'll turn it over to him to do his presentation. Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have in front of you my review of the loan on the service station convenience store in Gardner, Montana. The borrower is Jeffrey Gingrich. It's doing business as GBP Enterprises. It's in Gardner, actually a couple miles north of Gardner as you're driving in on Highway 89. The lender is Heather Smith at First Interstate Bank, and I believe Heather is on the line. She just joined, so welcome, Heather. And so the request is for a total of $4,425,000. First Interstate Bank is 25% or $1,106,250. Their interest rate's at 4.25%. The term is for 20 years. The Board of Investments portion is 75%, or $3,318,750. The rate on the board's portion is 4.18, plus if you add the 15 basis point servicing fee, the borrower is going to pay 4.33% on the board's portion. Staff is recommending approval of the loan, subject to conditions found in Schedules A and B. So going on to page 2, the purpose of the loan is to provide long-term financing for the Sinclair Travel Plaza and Fueling Station convenience store, and it's got 5 commercial lease spaces, in addition to ground lease spaces located at 375 US Highway 89, south in Gardner, Montana. The history of the business, GBP stands for Gardner Business Park. It's a sole proprietorship owned by Jeffrey. Construction of the facility started in 2019, completed pretty much in 2020. The fueling station opened up the last quarter of 2019, and the convenience store and lease spaces opened up summer of 2020. Ownership is 100% by Jeffrey. A summary of Jeffrey's experience is he's lived in the Gardner area for over 20 years. He's got a strong history of management. I think he's very well known in the Gardner area. Some of the businesses that Jeffrey's been involved with, I think the primary business, which probably got him to the Gardner area, was the Yellowstone Park service stations. He owns that, half of it, along with Help Broadhead. They purchased the business in 2015, but they worked at YPSS for over 20 years. And YPSS operates 7 fuel and auto repair services within the boundaries of Yellowstone National Park. They have an exclusive concession contract with the park. That contract expires at the end of 2020. He also has Yellowstone Dino Lube and Repair, which he purchased in 2013. Sounds like he turned that business around, and that business is now a part of the new facility out here that we're looking at today. He also has Coulter Properties, which is commercial real estate. The dining room was located, and he is selling that property. And so that'll hopefully will be done this summer. And then he has the Electric Properties, which is a real estate holding company. He has rental properties there in Gardner. On to page 3, the property was valued at $5.9 million. The total cost of the project was almost $7.2 million. Using the appraised value, the loan to value would be 75%. and that allows the Board of Investments to participate in up to 80% of the loan, but First Interstate Bank has opted to participate 75%. The debt coverage ratio is 1.64% for the first 6 months of 2020. And then the projections for year 21 and 22 show an average debt coverage ratio of 2.4. The debt coverage ratio exceeds the BOI policy of 1.25%. I'm going to skip over the economic and competitive environments, kind of just going through the collateral. You can see some pictures of the facility. And like I reported earlier, that property was appraised in March of 2020 and was valued at 5.9%, 5.9 million. So using the appraised value, we would be at 5%. So it meets our requirements to participate.
Next question.
Yes.
This says 225,000 gallon split partner tanks and 120,000 gallon fuel tanks. So aren't they all fuel tanks? The 25,000?
I think the fuel probably refers to diesel and the other two gas.
Oh, I was just curious.
Yeah, I would, you'd have a premium.
It's got the two different levels and then the diesel.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. Thank you.
The environmental reviews were completed by First Interstate Bank. Phase 1 was completed. And based on their investigation, there was no significant adverse impact observed, which considering the property has been undeveloped since 1893, not much has happened out there that I'm aware of. And in addition, they did a phase 1 to the phase 1, they did an environmental database review. And then based on those results, that they viewed the property as minimal risk. So, you know, with a service station, especially petroleum products, there's always the risk of environmental concerns. But I think with this being a new facility, you know, new equipment, hopefully we'll never run into that issue with this property. The business financial analysis, the repayment of the loan is going to come from revenue generated from by the fuel, the convenience store sales, and the rental. Jeff is a distributor for Sinclair. This definitely helps with pricing. The below spreadsheet shows the debt coverage ratio for the business, which shows that it's got the ability to make the payment on the loan. One thing to note, you know, rental income is a significant portion of revenue, I would say. But if I pulled that out, the business still meets our debt service coverage without the rental income. But it's an important part of the whole debt coverage ratio. I did list.
Excuse me. Hey,
Yes.
yeah, Doug, just a question. Looking at that next to the last page below is the list of tenants that are renting space, including, you know, the Dino Lube rental of his own property. It looks to me like all of the rental spaces are full now. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do believe all of the rental spaces are full.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Well,
I have a follow-up question. So to clarify, the actual convenience store and gas operations, are those operated under Dino Lube, or is that operated under the borrower, the GBP Enterprises?
it's under GBP Enterprises.
Okay, and so then the Dino Lube is a separate business.
A separate entity that's owned by Jeff that rents space from GBP Enterprises.
Gotcha. Could you list the guarantors on this loan as well? Is it just Jeffrey, or are there any of his wholly owned entities that are guaranteeing it as well?
It's just Jeffrey.
And what about assignment of leases? Is there any assignment of the underlying leases on those, for those tenants?
Yes. Yes, the lender should do the assignment of leases when they prepare the documents.
Great, thanks, that's it.
Thank you. A very quick business financial analysis shows total assets of 5.8 million, liabilities at 5.2, and a net worth of 600,000. And then Jeff's personal financial analysis as of March of 21 shows total assets of 21.2 million, liabilities of 7.4, and a net worth of 13.8 million. Jeff's primary source of income is from YPSS, with additional income from rental properties and the Dynaloop. His personal debt service coverage is 2.09 and his credit score is 730. So moving on to the last page, 7, the primary source of repayment is the business cash flow. Secondary source would be his personal income and liquid assets. And then the third source would be the sale of collateral. I believe the strengths of this credit is Jeff's experience in ownership in YPSS. He's got a good understanding of the fuel business, convenience stores. I think business leadership in the Gardner community, and then debt service coverage is good, and good ownership equity. And the weaknesses would be Jeff is definitely going to experience an increase in annual debt service, but the cash flow does show the ability to make the payments on the loan. And then this is a specialized facility in a small community that is dependent on tourism. So with that, I would open up to any other questions.
Doug, I noticed the costs were quite a bit higher than the appraised value without seeing some of the information to determine that. Why were the costs so much higher than the appraised value?
Well, I think the fact that you have a convenience store service station in Gardner and the ability for an appraiser to go out and get comparable sales that would meet the cost to put in a facility like this. I think that's the difficult part, you know. It just costs more to do a project like this than what it's going to be valued at. Yeah, just because of it being a specialized property in a small market with you know, not a lot of comparables to go.
Well, and at least to me, it shows he had the ability to fund that.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Having been there and around the area, I would suggest it has a little bit to do with geology as well, because it's not normal ground, it's a lot of rock. Took a lot more construction costs to actually dig those tanks, do some of that.
That makes sense.
You did go too deep, you set up the super bowl.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Right.
And it's been undeveloped since 1893, so.
Sounds like Great Falls. Sorry. Is there any other questions for Doug from the committee or anybody on the line?
I just have one more question on the appraisal. So is it typical to have, it looks like construction kicked off in 2019, so presumably, potentially there's a kind of a appraisal based on the construction plans, and then the March 20th appraisal that we're working with right now, is that the most recent appraisal available? And kind of a follow-up question on that, do we have any sort of appraisal time requirements, you know, as far as, you know, being within a certain period of us approving these loans?
Yeah, Jeff, you know, as far as an appraisal being completed on a property before it's completely finished, you know, you can have the appraiser, he would indicate that it's as complete or as done. As far as, you know, a follow-up review to make sure that it was completed, you know, based on the appraiser's assumption, I'd have to defer that to First Interstate Bank to see if they actually had a follow-up review completed by the appraiser to make sure that that value is still there. Heather, are you on the line? Can you help me out with that question?
Yes, sir, I am on the line. Thank you, committee members, for allowing me to join your meeting. I do want to say that we did have an original appraisal done in 2019. This 2020 appraisal is a follow-up to ensure the facility was completed and those types of things. Additional costs, which you've already discussed, included a large fire pond, which they also had to dig a large hole and fill it with a ton of water because there is no fire service in Gardner, Montana. So when you have those tanks and you have a fire possibility, they needed to have a very large fire pond that was an additional $500,000 to $600,000 for Jeff's expense that really isn't included in the appraisal as far as a value. Does that answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah, it does. I guess I'm just wondering, is there, we're looking at it now. Is there a reason that it came back around a year from potentially kind of that completion date from a timing standpoint?
So we had the appraisal recertified or looked at again last spring. As you know, with COVID, there was a significant number of challenges in terms of actually getting the store opened, which didn't open until July. So that appraisal was completed, but Jeff couldn't really get into business. Therefore, we couldn't get any financial results for an additional, through the tourist season. Then everything shuts down in October. And he and I have been working diligently since that time frame to collect information and get the information, up to a risk partner like MBOI. And so when Doug heard this, our appraisal was still within that 365-day time frame that we considered adequate. And so there's been no significant changes since that that would devalue the property. So we're okay with the appraisal being just over 1 year old.
Yeah. Well, I think, overall it probably helps because it's a lot easier decision to make now than it would have been last spring. And it looks like a very good deal. So I have no other questions.
Thank you. Other committee members, is there any other questions I can answer for you?
Hearing none, I'd just like to thank you, Heather, for being on the line today. Sometimes that's helpful to us to analyze the risk, and also thank you for the good write-up that you submitted that helped our staff analyze the risk from the Board of Investments point of view. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the loan as submitted.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Time for any other additional questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of this loan, say aye. Aye.
All right.
And then is there anybody opposed to it? Hearing none, the loan request is approved unanimously. As most people know, but just say it for the new members, the rules at loan committee, staff approves loans up to $1 million. Loan committee can approve loans from 1 million to 5 million. And then anything over 5 million goes for the full board approval. So in this particular case, the loan committee decision is the final decision. I will note for the record at the full board meeting that we've done this. So with that, Doug, just because we've got a minute or two, I always like to ask about the economic environment you see. You've got some handle on that, touching with some other lenders. So do you have any comments for the board?
I think lenders are still cautious with credit, concerned about how the economy is going to recover from COVID. I think I can say I feel that it's better than I expected at this point. If we were to go back a year ago, I think my concern level then was much greater than it is today. But at the same time, I think lenders are being cautious and making sure that the credits are good and they want to get involved. So I'm hearing from lenders on deals that they're working on. And hopefully things will just get better.
Good. Is there any questions for Doug on anything within the loan committee review?
Can I ask a question to Doug?
Sure.
Doug, relative to your comments there, so cost of materials have gone sky high. Is that something that lenders are looking at as well?
Yes, Mark, they are. I think where we're seeing that impact would be like in the Veteran Home Loan Mortgage Program, where the cost of housing is increasing due to demand, and obviously the price, the materials to build a house is going up. So the price of the homes are exceeding the amount that the Veterans Administration will allow or guarantee. So veterans or homeowners are having to come up with more money in order to buy the home. So consequently, the demand on the Veterans Home Loan Program is going down because of that increase in prices. But I think it's being felt everywhere. Anybody who's trying to build something, it's much more expensive to build. And so it's something that you gotta look seriously at, you know, that the borrower may have to come up with more money in order to make it work.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Dan, do we have anything else for loan committee?
The only thing I'll make the committee aware of is under the new stimulus bill under consideration at the legislature, there is a pot of money available to local governments that if they have a match in place, they get moved to the front of the line and they don't have to go through a competitive process. Talking with Louise, if that bill passes, we will expedite reviews and throw whatever resources we need to at Intercap in order to make sure that the local governments can get into the non-competitive bucket of money first. So that may necessitate some sort of special board meeting between now and June. Don't know, we'll see what the legislature does, but just to be responsive to our clients, I want to make sure that we're ready to move if that comes up.
Good. So just with the adequate notices and stuff, we get more than available to complete that. Okay, with that all said, I call loan committee closed and on time. Thank you all.
5 minutes as opposed to my 4. So you